Hello and welcome to our April 2022 episode of Tallinn Talks, a podcast and video series brought to you through the cooperation of the Tallinn City Centre Government, the City Centre New Arrivals Council, and the City of Tallinn as part of the Tallinn City Centre for New Arrivals project. I'm Chantal, and I'll be flying solo today as my co-host Thalys is back in Ghana, finally able to spend some time with her family as travel has now reopened. So Thalys, I hope you're having a great time. This month, we're going to stay focused on the ongoing war in the Ukraine and how the Tallinn community is continuing to support refugees coming to Estonia during this extremely difficult period. We'll be speaking to Salomia and Sofia from the Ukrainian community. They've been living in Tallinn for a few years and are going to talk to us about their work at the Refugee Aid Collecting Center through Estonians for Ukraine. But first up, the local news. Estonia has now welcomed 27,000 Ukrainian war refugees so far, and the number of refugees coming to Estonia has currently stabilized at around 500 people per day. Estonia had a crisis plan for accommodating 10,000 refugees before the war, but now with the state scrambling to find everybody long-term accommodation, Tallinn ferry MS Isabel is being used as a temporary accommodation site, and 7,000 refugees are also being hosted temporarily in hotels and other sites created by local governments. Real estate portals have been launching web pages aimed at refugee accommodation, and the government is rapidly trying to find long-term options within the month to get everybody settled and comfortable. And more than 1,900 students from the Ukraine have been offered places in Tallinn's municipal schools and kindergartens, while the Tallinn Education Department is set to sign a contract with the Tallinn University to use its study building on Ragatanav as a branch of the Lilleküla High School to teach children of Ukrainian refugees this year. This new school would cater to around 200 students initially. 60 start on Monday, and they're taught by 10 Ukrainian teachers who have themselves arrived in Estonia as refugees. The school could then expand to admit up to 600 students by September, and for those still in Tallinn in the new year, students will then switch to the national curriculum of Estonia. Ukrainian refugees in Tallinn have already registered 2,180 applicants for a Tallinn school place and 690 for a kindergarten place as of this week. Switching gears to transportation. So the Tallinn City Youth Council submitted a proposal on Tuesday to Deputy Mayor Andrei Novikov to launch a weekend night service on Tallinn's public transport, aiming to significantly increase the safety of both late night and early morning commuters, as well as those out partying into the night. The deputy mayor said that a pilot project may be launched sometime as early as this year, stating that it's positive that young Tallinners are actively thinking about how to make the urban transportation system more efficient. The council identified Lasnamäe, Haabersti, Tallinn, and Pirita as possible areas to be served by the night service, and recommended that the night service routes remain the same based on existing bus routes, but that the buses run at least once an hour. And as we discussed in previous episodes, a call for ideas was carried out among Tallinn residents to create a 9-kilometer-long park on a limestone cliff bordering Lasnamäe, Keskelin, and Pirita, a key part of the green mobility network included in the Tallinn 2035 development strategy. Nearly 400 proposals were received, with nearly 70% of the ideas raised by residents in the 25 to 45-year age range. Results were presented at the end of March with a clear focus on preserving the natural environment while also including things like viewing platforms, hiking trails, cafes, picnic and barbecue areas, and other recreational facilities. But the public also raised concerns about the dangerous cliff slope, the inconvenient connections between the different parts of the area, the lack of walkable roads, the car-centric urban spaces, and unsafe crossings, which will all need to be addressed as part of the project. Tallinn Mayor Mihhail Kõlvart was in Helsinki this week to meet his Finnish counterpart on the subject of our twin city cooperation. The two mayors signed a new Tallinn-Helsinki Memorandum of Understanding, which previously expired at the end of 2021, and puts in place the cooperation framework to initiate joint projects and activities, including how cooperation can be strengthened between the cities to mitigate the crisis in the Ukraine. The Memorandum of Understanding highlights cooperation in the fields of climate and sustainable development, creative industries, as well as the continued cooperation on innovation and enhancing the competitiveness of the Twin Cities from both a financial, material, and human resources perspective, aiming to multiply the attractiveness of the region and become one of the leading economic centers in the Baltic Sea region. And in news that feels very Estonian, in order to ensure a safe migration route for amphibians migrating from their wintering grounds to breeding ponds, Tallinn City has applied a temporary ban on motor vehicle traffic on Astengu Street, which is one of the largest amphibian migration corridors in Estonia, from the 31st of March to the 14th of April, 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. All amphibians are under protection in Estonia, and the Red Data Book classifies them as one of the most endangered animal groups. In the absence of a traffic restriction, a large number of the migrating toads could perish without the volunteers on site to help the amphibians. Deputy Mayor Vladimir Svet stresses that being a green capital is not just about being a city with plenty of parks and green areas. It's also a city where we can all do our part to preserve biodiversity by being mindful of all living things. Tallinn's developed a diverse urban habitat, but sometimes it needs a little human hand. Volunteers can join the Astengu Toad Rescuers group on Facebook, where they can find out exactly when a helping hand is needed. Each new volunteer could also go through a training session to learn where the breeding pond is, how to pick up a toad, and where amphibians can be put together in a bucket. Tallinn City and Vimsi Parish, together with the Stockholm Environment Institute, are participating in a project involving partners from 12 countries to make school meals healthier and more environmentally friendly for children in Europe. The School Food for Change project involves 3,000 schools and more than 600,000 school children across Europe, and will focus on the food system as a whole, including the creation of sustainable criteria for catering, procurement, the promotion of healthy, environmentally sustainable food consumption and preparation, as well as development of an entire school food culture framework. This will bring together all of the actors involved in school meals: the pupils, the parents, the teachers, farmers, caterers, chefs, nutritionalists, and local businesses. The initiative was presented to all the schools in Tallinn on Thursday last week, after which every school in the city will have the opportunity to apply as part of the project. And last Sunday, more than 6,370 people visited the museums that have joined the Tallinn Museum Sunday program. It's a new record. Launched in March this year, the program enables free visits to the city's own museums on the first Sunday of every month. And as the first Sunday in May falls on a public holiday, the next Tallinn Museum Day will take place on the 15th of May, which incidentally is also Tallinn Day. On this occasion, the museums will also have a number of special programs in place. The City of Tallinn is awarding a total of €110,000 to 19 organizations in this quarter's cultural non-profit funding round. In addition, nearly 70,000 in operating grants will also be awarded to 60 song and dance festival groups. The projects being supported both highlight traditional cultural events as well as exciting new initiatives. For example, supporting the Head Read Literary Festival, the summer cultural events of the Estonian Museum of Contemporary Art, the second edition of the International Animation Festival, Animist Tallinn, and the fourth charity dance marathon by the Sõltumatu Tantsulava. And compared to last year, there have been a significant increase in both the number of applications and the amount of funding requested. So in 2021, there were 105 applications in the first two rounds, requesting around €650,000. Whereas now in 2022, the same period has seen over 120 applications, requesting over €1 million. The number of operating grants awarded to semi-professional choirs and music collectives participating in the Estonian Song and Dance Festival has also increased, so from 33 groups last year to 60 this year. All supported cultural projects are listed in the Tallinn Project and Operating Grants information system, and non-profit activity grants can be applied for 4 times a year. So the next application rounds will take place in mid-May for activities starting in July and mid-August for activities starting in October. All of the procedures and additional conditions are available on the Tallinn website. And that's a wrap on episode 10 of Tallinn Talks. If you want more local news content, subscribe to the Tallinn in Brief English newsletter today. The newsletter, which comes out once a month, provides a great overview of what is happening in the capital, and you can find the subscription link in the podcast description below. Also, if you live in the city center or you are just interested in everyday updates from Keskelen, or maybe you have some questions or thoughts for the local authorities, join the Tallinn City Centre for Expats official community administered by the Tallinn City Centre government. And don't forget to subscribe to the Tallinn Talks YouTube channel as well while you're at it. I'm Chantal, thanks for joining us. Get out there and enjoy hopefully some upcoming spring weather, and we'll see you next month.